Alright, here we are today with a review of the EOTech operator grade lightweight tactical pants, as you can see on the tag that comes with them from EOTech. These come in several colors. This is the OD version, the olive drab. They also come in a khaki, a navy, and a black. They retail for $49.99. That is if you can find them. I had a hard time finding these. Maybe they're a newer pant and so people don't have them in stock, EOTech included. And I finally found the last pair on a website, picked them up, and because of that they are going for retail price. Whereas most of the other brands are going for $39, or even the Blackhawks have pants. They have their trade-in special where you send another pair of pants from another brand in and they'll give you half off. So these are going for premium at $50. I've already done reviews of a couple other brands, 511s, Blackhawks, True Specs, and I saw these, thought I'd grab them, had a little variety to my wardrobe, and kind of see what I thought of them compared to the other ones. So kind of give you my thoughts on them. These are 100% cotton, 7 ounce, 100% cotton ripstop fabric. All the other ones are a 6.5 ounce, 65-35 poly cotton blend, and I much prefer that to these 100% cotton pants. The 7 ounce compared to the 6.5 ounce I don't really notice. They are very comfortable wearing. But my issues with the 100% cotton are several. A lot of issues were made in the past about the 100% cotton canvas 511 pants, that when you got them wet or you were out in the cold or wet in the cold, they were bad because they would stay wet and they were cold. I wear these mostly inside, so it's not an issue for me, but if you do wear them outside or in the cold, then it's just something you might want to consider with them. They say that they are pre-washed, pre-shrunk, treated with a fade-resistant coating, and also have the DuPont Teflon coating that most of the other brands have. Now I've washed these 3 times so far, and I've washed them per their manufacturer suggestions. Cold water, tumble dry low, and after 3 washings they have started to fade already, mostly along the seams here. And I don't know if you can see this in the camera, but there's a little bit of patchy fading in through here. And that's again just after 3 washes. So I'm curious to see how this is going to go after 6 months or a year. Maybe I'll post some follow-up then. Also, my other issue with them is that they say they're pre-shrunk. These are 32-30s. In my 3 washings, they've shrunk in 1/2 inch and are now 32 29.5s. I didn't have any of those issues with the poly cotton blends because the polyester doesn't really shrink, and it's also a lot more fade resistant. So I do wish these were the poly cotton blend like all the other brands. It's one issue I have with these pants. But overall, the fabric feels great wearing them. These have a little bit of a slimmer cut compared to the True Specs, for instance, which have a fuller cut. You know, I'm a smaller guy, 32-30, and these fit me just fine. I really do like the cut. So going over the construction of them now, starting up at the top, the waist here. These have the elastic sides, and if you see my other videos, you know that I prefer this design compared to the telescoping design that the True Specs and the Blackhawks have. I think this just wears more comfortable. There's less material, less stuff up here around the waist compared to that telescoping design. You move, this stretches, and I think it's just more comfortable, whereas a little bit lighter. Here it has a button instead of a snap. I prefer the snap, but not a big deal at all. The zipper, YKK zipper with a nice large tab. It does not have the locking zipper like the other brands have. On the other ones, when you put the tab up and you pull them, they unzip, and when it's down, it's locked. This does not have that. Again, not a big deal at all. Opens nice and easy. Because the tab is nice and large, the tab doesn't get stuck here in the bottom like it does in the 511s. Minor issue I have with them. There's not a secondary closure here like most of the other brands have. Again, not a big issue for me. I only use that about half the time, depending on how easy it is to engage. And you're probably wearing a belt with it anyway, so really not an issue. It does have a gusseted crotch, which about half the brands have, so that'll provide a little bit of extra place for the stress to go over while you're wearing them, and just a little bit more comfort when you're wearing them and moving with them. The belt loops here, they will hold up to 1.75 inch belt, and they are a little bit narrower than, for instance, throwing in these 511 pants here. A little bit narrower these than the 511s. Also, an area that I wish they had, 511s have this D-ring down here. The Blackhawks have, I think, a piece of paracord or some type of cord here. And I use this all the time. As you can see, it's kind of scratched up because I clip my badge onto it at work. And I wish these had those. The true specs also do not have them. So nice feature of these. The pockets have this quarter circle design here, and that's nice because it gives a nice wide opening that I'll get to in a minute. They're deep pockets, kind of the standard 13 inches. So nice deep pockets, about standard for all of them. Now, because of the way they're open, if you clip a pocket knife onto there, there is plenty of space to get around that knife to get into the pocket. Whereas some of the other brands, like, again, going back to these 511s, they just have this standard angled cut here. If you clip something in here, there's not that much space to get around them when you're wearing them. So that's a nice feature of these and the way the pockets are designed. However, an issue I have with the pocket, and this turned out to be not as much of an issue after I wore them, but when you clip a knife on there, it goes down over the cell phone pocket because of where the cell phone pocket is placed. And when you open it, it pushes the knife or whatever else is clipped on there up. In the end, what I discovered is that typically I'll carry a flashlight in my front pocket like this. 4.7's Preon 2 or Phoenix PD20, and it's not as much of an issue with the pocket because the pocket slips are a little bit shorter, and typically I'll carry my knife in my back pocket where there's nothing there for it to interfere with. Now what they could do to fix this is to move this pocket over just a little bit. Again, going back to the 511s for comparison, they have a little bit of space here, such that when you're clipping something onto the side of the pocket, that belt clip goes down next to the pocket and doesn't interfere with it. Now that part aside, the placement of these pockets aside, these pockets are my favorite cell phone pockets of all the brands that I have. The big complaint that I had with the 511s is that they were narrow and they were hard to get into. And as cell phones get bigger and bigger, that's becoming more and more of an issue. On these EOTechs, the pockets are a great size. They are almost about 3 3/4 inches by 6 inches. That's about 1.25 inches wider than the 511s. Single piece of Velcro there. They are lined on the front side, but not on the back. I'm not sure why, but not a big issue for me at all. And they're nice and easy to get into because they're a decent sized pocket. They have this sort of gusseting or a bellows thing on the side here. These do not lie that flat because there just seems to be some stiffness in here, and I've noticed that on several of the pockets. Not on this side, but it's on this side. I've noticed it on a few of the other pockets. Not a big deal in the end. You know, when you're wearing them, you don't notice it, but just a small thing to notice as I was going through them. They don't lie as flat as some of the other brands. Again, small issue. But if they would just move this pocket to the center about 1 inch, 3/4 inch, I think it would take care of that problem for the people that are going to be clipping things that are a little bit larger onto those pockets. Moving down, looking at the side. The side pockets here, similar to the design of the 511s, they are about 6 3/4 inches by 6 inches. 2 pieces of Velcro. This is just one large pocket. There's no dividers. There's no elastic pieces in there like the I think the Blackhawks have. For my purposes, this and the 511s are my favorite pocket design because I'll typically put gloves or something down in here. But if you're going to be putting some magazines that you need some dividers in there, you might look at some of the other brands. Again, here's the issue where it doesn't lie flat here. Again, not a big issue for me, but again, just something that I kind of noticed. But overall, love the design of those pockets. Moving on down, here's the bottom, just a standard cuff on the bottom. The 511s do have some holes here if you want to run some string through them to blouse them out. Not a big deal at all for me, don't use that. And standard, just like all the other brands, they have some pockets in the knees if you want to put some knee pads in there if you use those. Going back up to the top here, the pockets basically continue around in this half circle from the front to the back. And kind of a little different look to them. Now, another issue with this, going back to the cotton that I have, and just the design of the pants in general, is that because this is cotton, they're already starting to wear around the pockets here. And when you're putting knives or whatever in and out of these, and in and out, and in and out, I have some concern that would wear over time. And a simple fix for that, again, going back to these 511s as an example, would just be to put a little bit of reinforcement on either side of that pocket, just kind of front and back, just right in this distance, to give that a little bit more protection, such that when you're putting that knife in there, it's going over that reinforced fabric and I think it's going to wear a lot better. So another minor nitpick there. In the back here, these pockets are the same 12-13 inches depth, 12-13 inch depth. There's a pocket here which is 6 inches deep, I believe. About 6.5 inches deep. You want to put your wallet or whatever back there. Small piece of Velcro there, small piece of Velcro here. These are all decently secure, but none of them zip closed or are as secure as some of the other brands have. Not a big deal for me though, but just something to notice if you want something a little bit more secure to put stuff in. Full view of the back here. The pockets are symmetrical. There's the EOTech logo embroidered there. That's about it for the back. So overall, there's some basic stuff in the design of the pants. Overall, I love the pocket layout, except for the pocket part with the cell phone pocket here. These are my favorite design of the pocket layout, just because these cell phone pockets are such a nice, generously sized, and that in comparison with the good size of the side pockets. Again, your needs may vary depending on what you're doing with the pants, but just something to consider. They're cut a little bit narrower compared to some of the other brands. I don't like the fact that they're 100% cotton. They are more expensive currently compared to some of the other brands. Maybe if you're lucky you could find them at a discount somewhere. But they're great pants. Overall, these are probably one of my favorite designs compared to some of the other ones. They just have a few areas for improvement, as I mentioned, just like all the brands do. There's no perfect pair of pants, no perfect brand. Each other pluses and minuses. So if you're looking for a little variation in your wardrobe, pick up a pair of these EOTech pants. You might just like them.